Chapter 2, Papa's Secret. When Lily and I walked from the woods into the clearing, Papa looked up from his hammering on the roof, and Mama stood up in the garden patch. Then followed the longest minute of silence I could remember while they stared at Lily. I knew Lily was scared, but she wasn't about to let it show. So she dropped my hand and stared back defiantly. When Mama came bustling over, the first thing Lily said was, "I'm home for good, Mama." Mama stared at Lily with a hard look. Behind us, Papa clambered down from the roof and hastened over. I could see that Papa was worried. He often said that Mama and Lily were cut from the same cloth, which really meant they were both stubborn as mules. "Lily, if I didn't know better, I'd say you were a ghost Charlie brought back from the woods," Papa called as he hurried over. "Why are you so dirty, girl? What's going on? Why aren't you at school?" "'Cause I'm not going to that school no more." "Anymore," Mama grated, correcting Lily's English. "You know perfectly well that it's anymore." "Did you run away from school?" Papa asked incredulously. "Yep," Lily said. "But how did you get home?" "I walked," Lily said. Mama gasped. "You walked? Do you have any idea how dangerous, how foolhardy that was for a little girl to walk through the forest?" "I'm not afraid of the woods," Lily said, her voice rising to match Mama's. Okay, Papa said, holding his hands out. "We better head inside and get to the bottom of this. Come on, Lily." The rest of the afternoon was one long argument. Mama was as mad as I'd ever seen her. She was so mad that she barely even said a word, and every time she started to talk, Papa hurried to cut her off before she could get a good head of steam. And Lily wasn't helping much. It almost seemed as if she was trying to pick a fight with Mama, because every chance she got, she declared that she'd rather live in the woods and grub for her own food than dress up in bows and buckled shoes. Papa tried to lecture Lily, but I actually felt a little sorry for him. Stuck as he was between Mama and Lily, it was a no-win situation, and he looked more miserable than angry. Finally, Lily was sent to bed before it was fully dark, and Mama and Papa sat tight-lipped and frowning. So I went outside to see if I could find any ripe huckleberries. Huckleberries are small, round berries that look like blueberries, but in my opinion taste much better. They are sweet and sometimes a little tart. Before Lily went away, she used to collect huckleberries by the basketful for Mama to make into jam and pies. But since Lily's been gone, Mama hadn't done any cooking with huckleberries because she spent all of her time fooling with her blueberries. I spent as long as I could searching out the best huckleberries while also eating my fill. I kept an alert ear out for bears. It wasn't uncommon to find black bears on the island looking for ripe huckleberries also. Lily even used to feed the bears right up until Papa threatened to shoot any that got too close to the house or too used to humans. Finally, I walked slowly back to the house with heavy feet. I wasn't looking forward to waking up the next morning. I knew that if Mama had her way, they would pack Lily back off to school the very next morning. I could already guess what Lily would say about that. Night was falling, and as I neared the house, an emerging moon cast shadows through the banyan and sable palms that grew up in our clearing. The moonlight glinted off the dark water of Lake Worth, and a light breeze rattled the fresh palm fronds that Papa had nailed on the roof that afternoon. The sound must have covered my footsteps because I was sure that Mama and Papa didn't mean for me to hear them talking. "So you mean just let her stay?" Mama was saying angrily. They were sitting in the main room, and the front door was open to let in the breeze. I could hear them just as if I was sitting in the room with them. "Well, yes, I guess I do," Papa said. "You heard what she said, and you know she means it. How many other little girls, how many other people do you know that could do what she did? She made it all the way down to the state with no gun, no flint, no water, no nothing. She just looked like she'd just come from a Sunday stroll." Excepting that she was filthy," Mama interrupted. "You're almost proud of her. It isn't proper for a young lady to act in that way. I know this is a wild place, so we must choose the kind of society we make here." "Do we really choose, though?" Papa said. "Lily's been this way since she was born." I don't know how much choice there is in the matter." There was a long silence, and I could just picture Mama sitting with her hands drawn up in her lap and her mouth in a tight line. Mama wasn't a hard person, not at all, but she had a very specific idea on how we would be educated, especially Lily, and that included history, literature, music, language, and geography lessons. Where Lily was concerned, it didn't include tracking animals and wood lore. Mama had come from moneyed people up north in Chicago, and she often said the land might be wild, but we didn't have to be. "So your mind's made up," Mama said. "But that leaves just one question. What about the tuition money? You heard what the headmaster said. There are no refunds for students who leave school early. We already paid for her education, so we'll just lose all that money. You know what that means. Unless one of your land investments pays off, and sooner than later, we might have to sell this island." I heard Papa sigh, and my mind suddenly whirled with questions. A few years before, a hurricane had come, and I'd found a trunk full of Spanish gold half buried on the beach. Papa and Uncle Will had dragged the trunk back to Hopaloxet Island and buried it in the big banyan tree out front and agreed to split the money. They dug it up ever so often, whenever we needed money. That included the day Uncle Will bought his sailboat, the Magellan, and moved away, and the day Lily went off to school. I'd always thought there was enough gold in that chest to last a lifetime. Could it really be gone? Finally, after a long silence, Papa said, "I know the situation, but Lily being home doesn't change it any. It was going to be the same either way. We knew that all along. So it's okay to just throw that money away to the wind?" Mama asked. "No, I'm not saying that," Papa answered in an agitated voice. "I'm just saying that one thing doesn't necessarily connect with the other, and that I don't think money is a good enough reason to send Lily back. We'll figure something out. We're not selling." Mama went silent as a bad feeling settled into the pit of my stomach. Could it be true? I knew that land speculators were moving into this area. They were buying up big pieces of swamp land and forest land. Papa, too, had made some land investments, but he couldn't afford the better farmland in the west shore of the lake, where a few men were talking about growing citrus and pineapples. Instead, Papa had bought on the low barrier islands to the east. I knew that most people thought it was foolish to buy sandy islands so close to the ocean. Nothing grew there, and we'd already seen what a hurricane could do. But this was the first I heard that we might have to move and that my parents needed money. I resolved right then not to say anything to Lily. If she knew they spent the loss of the Spanish gold on her schooling, and that her running away meant that it was wasted, she would never forgive herself. But like Papa said, that didn't solve the real problem. Were we really going to lose our beloved island?